What's good, YouTube? No, so we're still at John's right now. Probably by the time this is uploaded, I'll be like just getting on the plane. But I wanted to do this discussion video while I have his setup just for some fun. But he's not here right now. We're just doing it by ourselves. Anyway, I wanted to talk about 3 different articles that Konami posted. So this is the first one, and this is the thoughts on the March 1st, 2012 Forbidden Limited list. Part 1. Now, this is a series of articles that Konami has never, ever done before. Or again, I should say. Well, they didn't do it before either. It's the only time in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! That Konami published articles talking about the Forbidden Limited list specifically. And that makes it really important because we can see that at a time, they actually believe this was like the way to address things. Now, I want to say that Magic and Hearthstone and Pokemon all publish articles when they ban cards. Konami does not. And that's probably one of the biggest problems with the ban list, I think, is that the lack of communication with the people that are playing the game. It's a little ridiculous. So this is the first one, and it talks about some generic stuff here. We can kind of scroll down and make sure you have it on the screen. So why have a list? First, we're often asked why have the Forbidden Limited list at all. And they bring up this time back in 2003, and this is entirely true. I even believe it was probably true past this point, up until like 2005. And they list a whole bunch of cards here that you were basically maybe not required to play, but that there were no other cards in the game that were better than them. So you started your deck with these 23 cards, with the 17 cards being the remainder of your theme. And they claim here that since all your opponents are going to go through the exact same situation, they're all playing with the same cards you are. So you keep seeing the same cards every time you duel. And you keep using the same cards every time you duel. And then they say, if we scroll down a little bit, same decks, same cards, every duel. Sound boring? You're not the only one who thinks so. And people like to quote these articles all the time because that's like a hilarious line. We've had so many different times here. I mean, I don't think Pepe counts because they actually did hit that. But if we talk about, most recently, Zodiacs, for months, they were just the best deck, completely unbeatable. And they had this every single game you were seeing Zodiac Barrage, no matter what deck you were playing against. And I argue that's much more I think this situation with these cards is very similar to Zoo, in that no matter what deck your opponent was playing, they were playing the Zoo engine. I do not think it's actually like Spiral, which is what this video is mainly going to address, because I think that with Spiral, it's just an entire deck. It's not an engine. You're not just teching a couple resorts in a deck and then calling it a day. Now, some Zoo players did do that, but at this point, no one's doing it. The 29 Spiral tops at YCS Dallas were just Spiral decks. They were not, it wasn't like Zoo where there's pure Zoo, Infernoid Zoo, Zoo Stun, a whole bunch of different variants. It was all just Spiral decks. So it's not quite this, but it's still good to know. Scroll down here. Why we have a list. To avoid situations like that from happening again. Here are some of the many reasons why we have a Forbidden Limited list. To prevent a situation where you feel locked in, where you have to play with certain cards or a certain deck. To keep it so there are choices for what deck you should play. Avoid having one dominant deck. Avoid having one, okay. To restrict solitaire decks. These are usually first turn combo decks where one duelist plays by themselves for 15 minutes, shuffling and summoning cards while their opponent twiddles his thumbs. I'd say that in general, hand traps seem like this is from 2012. Weren't a lot of hand traps back then. It was mainly just Maxine, Effect Failure, and DD Crow. I'd say that hand traps in general prevent this from happening, generally speaking. To eliminate cards that are confusing, cause games to stall out, create infinite loops, or otherwise interfere with tournaments and make them unpleasant. Okay, so there's 4 major points here they want to try to avoid. I feel like they've mostly avoided the 3rd and 4th one on this list. As far as the 1st and 2nd, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty locked in to having to play Spiral. I will say the last 5 weeks before Spiral came out, I felt like was one of the best times in Yu-Gi-Oh! Since 2014. Not that I've hated the last 3 years, but I really do feel like the last 5 weeks where you could play like basically anything. Yes, Pendulum Magicians were the best deck. Yes, they took the majority of the tops, but there were like 7 other decks that were viable. Right now, it just seems like Spirals or Trickstars. And Invoked probably, but that's just like hand traps. You're just playing the hand trap syndrome right now is sort of like the 23 cards they were talking about, where you basically have to play 15 hand traps to compete if you're not playing Spirals, and that's really rough. Now they go on to talk about the changes themselves. Cards like Trap Dust Shoot are toxic. The main two here are Spore and Glow Up Bulb. They kind of kill the plant engine. I don't really want to focus on the cards that they actually touched on this list so much because we have some other articles to get to, but I do want to go through the Spore and Glow Up Bulb reasoning and compare this to now. So they're saying tuners are okay. Tuners that can be used for any Synchro Monster are okay. Cards you can easily search for or summon from the deck are okay. Reusable cards okay. Reusable cards with no cost are even okay. Synchro Monsters with powerful effects are okay. Synchro Monsters that can be summoned using any Synchro Monsters are okay. Tuners that can be used for, basically they just say, when all of those are present, it's not okay. And they basically don't want to just get rid of Synchro Monsters entirely, obviously, but like Spore and Glow Up Bulb, way too good. Do Spore and Glow Up Bulb have equivalents right now? Maybe not, as far as links go. Maybe Gofu would be like the one, but Gofu isn't really reusable. And the link monsters aren't really powerful enough right now. I'd say that maybe. And it's like Scapegoat does like a lot of these things, but not really anyone's playing Scapegoat. Links aren't powerful enough to the point where we're getting cards that are specifically for links. It's kind of hard to make a card that's like only for links at this point, unless you like make it where it like special summons itself from the graveyard once a duel, and it can only be used for link summoning. We don't really have that right now, but I think this is something to keep in mind for future releases on whether or not, if we get cards that are specifically made for links and can't be used with tuners or exceeds, but that just break links entirely, I'll probably be thinking about this Spore and Glow Up Bulb interaction. But the other cards are taking out like just random stuff here. I do want to point out from that one video I had, oh shit, I can't even scroll down that far. But well, you can kind of see that they have TG Striker and Agent Mystery of Earth, and I talked about that on the why the TCG and OCG ban lists are different video. That their reasoning for hitting those cards is literally Asia was playing them, and that's just like garbage. Like, we need to have separate lists. You can go watch a video if you disagree. Anyway, here's the second article. They talk about more cards that did not get hit, and this is sort of, it's like another thing. Like, if this came out for every list, I think the game would be so much better. Like, just in terms of communication, especially like on this last ban list. If they answered questions like why grass didn't go to 3, shout out to John Moore for thinking that it would. But it's like, I think we need this communication. This is like so healthy. It's good for the game when you have this sort of communication. We have a whole article about why each card was hit. We have a whole nother article about why stuff is still on or off the list, and it's like that's good. That's good for the game. And while people weren't necessarily super happy with this list because they didn't hit windups at all, and that deck was super annoying. It's I don't know. This just seemed like a lot better, but the real article that we're trying to get to is the third one. And this was posted, so those first two were posted like immediately when the ban list dropped. This one was posted way afterwards, where this is in May now. And it's because they're not talking about the list itself anymore. They're talking about lists in general. So let's see. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some of the hidden elements of the Forbidden Limit list that aren't immediately obvious to general observer. The bandwagon effect is a documented psychological phenomenon wherein the people are doing something. The more people are doing something, the more likely other people are to start doing it too. Other names just include groupthink, sheeple, keeping up with the Jonases, etc. I don't know if people use that last one. Today I'm going to talk about the bandwagon effect applies to Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, blah, blah, blah. Here's how it works. So 7 steps. 6 steps. A deck or card has a winning streak or gets a lot of hype. More people expect the deck to win as a result. Therefore, more people play it. Now the percentage of people playing the deck in every tournament goes up. Sheer weight of numbers means the deck is more likely to win more tournaments. Now others that see that deck is winning more, so start playing 2, repeat. So then you have, and they claim here you can have 2 equally powerful decks, but if one takes onto the bandwagon effect, more people play it. I don't know if I completely agree with this in terms of how much weight they're giving it, but I don't know. I mean, I think it is true. People want the new and shiny decks. It's just whatever. But this article talks a lot about how the bandwagon effect makes decks seem better than they are, and I think in a way, I think this explains why they don't show us the numbers of decks played at events, at YCSs. Me and Simo tried very hard at YCS Dallas to get the numbers of the total entrants, but all we get is the top 32. you can kind of get a general idea just by walking around. But we don't get the concrete numbers like Europe does. And I feel like it's like they don't want people to know the numbers of the decks people are playing, so that's their way of preventing the bandwagon effect. The problem is what happens is I think that then we just do a bandwagon effect with the top 32, not like the actual results. It's just ridiculous. I don't know. These articles are good because it shows Konami is willing to look at their game. They're willing to talk about why they're making their decisions. And honestly, these articles, especially this one that's getting into the bandwagon effect, they're proving Konami isn't fucking stupid. Basically, they're proving that Konami cares about what they're doing and that they have theories behind what they're doing. It's not just all random garbage. And that's it's good. We've never gotten one of these articles since. It's been 5 years, going on 6 years here. We've never gotten one of these articles again. Never will. I don't think we ever will. I think it's going to be impossible. And I think that's a shame because every other company does it except Konami at this point. And that's weird because of all the games, the ban list is the most important in ours, specifically because we, unlike the other games, that's all we have to rotate cards out. We don't have set rotation like those other card games do. And they still post articles when they ban stuff. And yet the ban list is the biggest part of our game. It's the only reason we have a sort of set rotation. And they don't address it at all. And that's just insane. I don't know how they get away with that. We just let them get away with that. I guess just like a crazy motorcycle outside. You guys probably came in here. But I don't know. I just kind of want to look at these articles. I think they're like useful. I'll link them in the description if I remember. I'll try to remember. But I don't know. Oh, sorry. I should correct myself. These weren't posted they were posted way after, but not just this one. Looks like they all were posted in May. Yeah, so it's not even like they didn't even answer. They didn't even post these on a timely manner. What the fuck? I don't know what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. But I want more of these articles, even if they come super late in May. I want more of them. I think that's good to tell the players what's going on. Although they should make them, if they can't come up with articles like these before they post a ban list, they shouldn't be posting a ban list. If you can't back up all the claims you make, why are you posting a ban list? It's ridiculous. But anyway, that was my discussion on what Konami, I don't know what I'm going to call this video, but it's basically what Konami did right with the ban list, how they're doing things wrong with the ban list, and what they could be doing to improve. It's basically just doing this thing that they did at one point, and now they don't do anymore. But anyway, I will see you guys later. Won't be with this setup anymore. Probably won't see my face for a while, but it's been fun while I've been doing it. You've seen my face in so many videos this week. It's crazy. But YCS Dallas was crazy. A lot of fun. I will talk about it in another video. There'll be a recap video on Simo's channel maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next couple days. That John, and I did. That was a lot of fun. But you guys go check that out. I'll see you later. Bye. As I cough. Bye.